Welcome to the Oh Brother Podcast. I'm your host, Stan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith.
How you doing,
Mike,
Dan?
good man. The leaves are changing. We both own black cats now, or they own us. It's October. That can only mean one thing. It's Oh Brother HalloweenFest.
HalloweenFest.
HalloweenFest is back on the Oh Brother Podcast.
2025 version.
2025 version, yeah. And super
Dan,
excited.
I've got my HalloweenFest.
So Mike is sporting a customized Oh Brother HalloweenFest edition t-shirt. Very nice. You can find those in the non-existent Oh Brother shop. Remember that failed experiment, Mike? We were like 2 months in, thinking people wanted to buy our shit. And nobody,
socks and stupid stuff. We didn't even buy
stuff away. We couldn't give stuff away. Now, you're sporting that shirt. Take a look at this baby. Dunkin'
okay.
Donuts.
That's got like a Freddy and a...
No. This is Jason and Michael Myers, the original Dunk Kings.
Oh, okay.
See them sucking on their ice cold coffees?
Was that like a promotional thing?
I
don't even remember that.
No, it's a promotional thing on Amazon. So, the studio. Look at this. The studios are done up in the Oh Brother HalloweenFest decor. I'm loving it. And Mike, we're kicking off in style. So, for those that are new to the podcast, where have you been? First of all, but go out and follow us. On Instagram, Mike, it's on the HalloweenFest edition mug here. Do you have it? Hold it up there. Yeah. Okay. No. So what Mike's holding up, that's the YouTube handle. So if you're looking for Oh Brother on YouTube, it's at Oh Brother Podcast, all spelled out like that. On Instagram, it's at OHB as in Brother Podcast. You can also go to the official Oh Brother website, which is ohbpodcast.com, and follow us out there. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, like our videos, help get the HalloweenFest out to more and more horror fans, Mike. But this is where, I don't know, the last 4 years, I think we basically lean heavy into the horror genre. And It's a little bit varied. Like it's kind of spans the genre, right? There's a lot of different nuances of the genre. Now last year we did Terrifier, things of that nature, which are like
that's at the extreme end,
splatter horror. And then The Shining, for example, which you have in your poster that you're sporting behind you. So it kind of runs the gambit. Now, we have a lot of playlists on the Oh Brother YouTube channel. So if you go out there, you're going to find one that has all of our previous horror movie reviews, and there are a lot of them.
A lot.
We were just talking off air. We've got so much content that we forget. Did we do this film? Did we not? We did the whole David Gordon Green Halloween trilogy and sort of forgot about that. But so if you want to do a deep dive into our previous horror, and it's even got like Shaun of the Dead was one of my most enjoyable episodes.
And there's interviews too. We did with the cast of The Accursed.
That's right. And Kevin Lewis, the director,
he's been on.
Yeah, Mina Savari and that whole cast was on. It was really, really great. Kim Kendall, I want to give her a shout out because she follows the podcast. We follow her. And she's been very supportive in the past, and we interact every now and then on Instagram. But yeah, you're right. There's a chock full of different content in that playlist. But without further ado, Mike, we are kicking off this year's HalloweenFest with. I love this because again, it's a film I haven't seen.
Right.
But it's also relevant because it's the 25th anniversary of the original Final Destination film by James Wong, of course. Now, fans, followers, listeners of the podcast may not know, but you're pretty studied on the Final Destination franchise, and I don't say that as a slight or anything. It's just I think
it should be.
No, it's listen, don't lead off the Halloween Fest by sort of
No,
slamming the
no, I'm
the
not.
genre.
I really like the premise of these films, and
Yeah.
my favorite iteration is part 2, which I think I've told you,
Mm.
but this one has to this has 5 sequels. There is now one that came out this year
Bloodlines.
called, Bloodlines,
Right.
Final Destination Bloodlines.
Do
So
you have
that
that in
is
your
the
collection yet?
6th. I do not.
But it's
I
out
have the
already.
first 5, but yeah, the 6th one is out. I just
Okay.
haven't added it.
But you will. You have to be a completist.
Maybe, yeah. Didn't
Now,
love it, but
we've talked about James Wong a lot on the podcast. He directed this and co-wrote it with Glenn Morgan, which is relevant to talk about at the frontier because can you talk about the origins, Mike, of
yeah.
this film?
Yeah, well, James Wong, not to be confused with James Wan, who's very big into horror and has started what? At least 5 franchise, including The Conjuring, which is the
That's right.
biggest hit, horror hit of the year.
Mhm.
But this he was a writer, and he's mostly a writer producer than he is a director. This is his
Mm,
first time directing, and it's
right.
literally an episode he wrote for the X-Files, a TV show that was very popular, what, in
Yeah.
the '80s?
Yeah.
I'd
And
never
actually
seen it.
it actually came back and David Duchovny and oh god, this terrible his
Yeah,
co-star.
I
It's
see
terrible.
her. I see
Uh,
her.
it's gonna come to us as we talk about
S
it. Sorry, folks. Drop it in the comments.
Agent
Uh,
Scully and
That's
oh my
right. But
god.
but but they came back and sort of rebooted it. I don't think that's still going, but
Oh, I didn't know
super
that.
super popular. But yeah, what's the connection here with the X-Files? You said it's
Well, this
written
was
as
an
a spec.
episode written for the X-Files that,
Yeah.
the studio Lionsgate, no, it's New Line Cinema, I'm
New Line
sorry.
Cinema, yeah.
Neither one of them exist anymore. But New Line saw it, read it, said, "Hey, why don't you make this into a script?" And it has elements of reality in it. There was a flight, a TWA flight, for those who remember that airline,
800, I think,
Flight
right?
800. And there's even footage of it, which is kinda creepy in this film, like, when they're taking I should probably set up the story,
Yeah,
unless
go
you
ahead
wanna
and
do that.
give the synopsis as you usually do. Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, what happens is this group of high school students are going on a field trip to Paris for
Mhm.
what, 10 days, I think.
Mhm.
And they get on a plane to head to Paris, and as it's taking off, the plane explodes. Unfortunately, we've seen that happen in reality recently, um,
Right.
killing everyone on board. And then there's kind of a snap cut, and it kind of rewinds, and we see the main character played by Devin Sanwa. Did I say that
Sawa.
right?
Sawa.
Sawa.
Yeah.
He basically had it was his premonition that we were watching, not
Right.
reality. And then, he kind of freaks out and says, "Hey, this plane's going down. It's going to go down. It's going to crash. I saw it." They hustle him and a few others off the plane because if you start something like that, trust me, and I know
Mhm.
I've been taken off a plane before.
Well, this is interesting because it's this is pre 9/11
Right.
as well, and I couldn't help but think about that when he was starting his panic on the plane of not a horror film, but Midnight Run with Charles Grodin. These things, it's too
He
big. These things,
Now.
they go down.
Yeah.
It's a great film, Midnight Run. But yeah, I'm showing that scene here of the plane. You can see through the windows of the terminal
Right.
exploding, which is pretty intense. And as you said, this is something that we've seen, unfortunately. Now, in the grand scheme, right? The statistics, I think, still bear out
They
that it's the
absolutely do.
safest form of travel. Now, I will say, Mike, when I sat down to watch this, within the first 5 minutes, I said, thank the Lord that I didn't watch this film before I got on a flight because I had just got a flight to come back home from visiting you.
Yeah, the funny thing, Dan, I don't know if I've ever told you some of the stories I've had flying.
No.
I've been on a plane with turbulence so bad the masks pop down. I've
Okay.
had to get into the fetal position before.
Hmm.
I missed a flight once from LA to San Diego, and the only way to get there was a prop plane unless I wanted to drive. And it
Hmm.
was literally a six-seater.
Was that because of
When
Cheryl?
no, it wasn't.
Okay.
She was home, relaxing, and I'm on this six-seater. And when they give the announcements, the pilot doesn't get on he just turns around and says,
Hmm.
"Hey, this is what we're doing."
Right.
So I've been in every freaky situation. I've flown in China, and they use
Hmm.
planes of ours from like 50 years ago when and there's no seat belts. And so I've been on some horrific flights, but for some reason, I don't get spooked
Mm.
by
Well,
what happens.
now the opposite. So it's weird because I traveled quite a bit, early on, in my adult life, was traveling just to visit you occasionally, and we took a trip. You remember that nightmare trip we took where we
Oh,
almost got
yeah.
stranded and slept over in the Washington Dulles Airport at the time, the Washington Dulles Airport.
We were
That
for a while.
we were for quite a while. We were on that plane for hours and hours and hours with Dad, actually. Which, by the way, on HalloweenFest, a little shout out to the old
Skull and
man,
Bones.
Skull and Bones, and it may or may not have something Dad would appreciate in the old Skull and Bones.
I'm a
But
teetotaler.
yeah, Mike's a teetotaler. But I did try to get you to drink some beer when I was home, but that didn't work out. But that's okay. No judgment on the old brother podcast. But it, it, it- the I'm the opposite when it comes to this because again, I did a lot of flying. Then I had a trip to California when I was in graduate school that was really didn't have the oxygen mask, but it was really close.
Mhm.
Dropping several hundred feet in a very quick amount of time to the point where people were grabbing onto the seats and like really kind of biting their nails. Everybody's looking around nervous. Also no, 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 that was post 9/11. Actually. That was just post 9/11. And I kind of acquired this anxiety over flying and didn't fly for some time,
For a
which
long
doesn't help.
time.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't help. Then finally, since I've been overseas now and the whole bit, the more you do it. But I will say, I am Alex Browning in this movie, played by, as you said, Devon Sawa. I go through the same. Here's some of the details, Mike, I loved about this film. They're sort of building this tension
Right.
with his anxiety of getting on the flight. And it starts from the opening sequence of the film. He's saying, "Well, right, this tag that's on his luggage."
Yeah, let me
Can you
talk
explain that
about that for a
sequence?
second
Talk about
because
that.
I found it comical, actually. It felt like a sketch out of SNL. Like, he says, "Yeah, let's keep the tag on it," and then the dad says, "Well, it worked for me," and then they cut to a shot of Devin, and he's like and I wanted to hear the trumpet. "Wah, wah, wah." That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
But they were ultimately setting up he has kind of a fear of flying,
Mhm.
and, his worst fear ultimately comes through. That premonition does happen.
Right, right. But even like there's these when he's walking down the ramp to get on the plane, there's this moment where he stops and he looks down and he's looking at the space. There's this space that you can see for anybody who's traveled by plane between the ramp and when you get on the plane itself. And it was those little details I found so relatable because I go through that same thing. There's something psychologically that goes on because you realize you're now stepping into the plane where you're giving up all control. At least it feels like that,
Oh,
And
yeah.
so it was just interesting, those little details. I was surprised that James Wong captured in the directing, which I thought he did a really nice job with the film. This really from the opening sequence, the score, the just the tone that was being set really kind of, it's very reminiscent of those early 2000, late 90s horror films.
Yeah, and it's a kind of a teen base. Like he
It
originally
is.
wrote it as adults,
Yeah, really young cast.
and the studio came back and said, "No, Scream was wildly popular. Scream
Mhm.
2 was already out.
Yeah,
Why don't you make it teenagers?"
right.
And I think it works. I don't know if it would have worked with adults in the same way.
Now, there were a couple of, well-known that would become even more well-known actors kinda grounding it. One was a main character played by Daniel Roebuck, which a lot of folks will I mean, he's got a pretty long horror resume. Most recently, he was in Terrifier 3.
Right. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. He was
He had
also in The Fugitive with Harrison Ford. He
Oh,
was
that's
part of the
right.
FBI team.
That's
He's
right.
in a ton of
And
stuff.
and then, Mike, talk about the character Bloodworth, Tony Todd.
Yeah, this guy, Tony Tony Todd, right?
Mhm, yep.
Because there's another guy that reminds me of him. His name is Tony.
And a
He is
lot of
like
people would know him as Candyman in the Candyman film.
That's right. And he's got this voice. In fact, when we did the Accursed, he was in that film. And we asked
Was
them
he
about yeah, he was
was
I'm
he in
pretty
The
sure it was
Accursed?
him. 'Cause I remember asking the cast about how creepy it must have been.
Okay, well, feel free to correct us in the comments if we get that
Yeah,
wrong, which
if
is
if I've
which
got
is
it
pretty
wrong.
bad. Yeah,
But in the
yeah.
extras,
Uh-huh.
there's 3 commentaries. There's one with the makers of the film, with the
Yeah.
cast, and the cast all talk about how he's got such a creepy voice, and
Mhm.
people might know him without even seeing him because he used to do a lot of movie trailers.
You're thinking of you're thinking of Troy James, I think.
Troy James. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
2
they
of
have
them
a
are
s
like doppelgangers.
they are kinda doppelgangers, yeah.
And they have the same voice, the same
Yeah.
tone and
Well,
whatnot.
and Tony passed away November 6th, 2024, but
Right.
oddly, which I didn't know, and of course
Yeah,
he reprises the role in Bloodlines, the most recent film.
correct, and I think he still has a couple of credits still to come.
Yeah, and of course, he was very ill at the time, but I mean, he didn't miss a beat with the
No.
film. It
No,
was
you
pretty
I
incredible.
wouldn't have by after seeing Bloodlines, and I was shocked to see him because I knew he had
Yeah.
passed away.
Very big guys, like 6'6", 6'7", big menacing, guy.
Yeah, and he was in part 2. I think he was in 3, but not 4, and then he came back for 5 and 6.
Okay, see? I told you, Mike, very studied up on
Yeah, like way
Final
too studied,
Destination.
but the best extra on the Blu-ray is, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this. They talk about the test screenings. They went
Oh,
through a lot of test screenings.
continue.
Okay, so when I was in San Diego, I was writing for a newspaper, a school newspaper, but had a lot of eyeballs. It was like the biggest community college in San Diego,
There was a San
and
Diego is that what that was?
no, I don't even remember. It
Yeah,
was
was it the Grit? Was it the San Diego Grit?
that I used to deliver, but
It's a deep
that's
cut.
that's a
Yeah,
way different
that's a
audience.
deep cut.
But I would get invited to all these movie premieres, and I got invited to a lot of test screenings. Sometimes I would just get an envelope in the mail, as
Right.
like a ticket, and it didn't even tell me what the movie was. It just said,
Mhm.
"It's coming soon." And I would go to just about all of them, and I would review
Yeah.
most of them, but when you come out of it, there's all these people with clipboards,
Right.
and
What
they
did you think of the film? They ask you a series of questions. Yeah.
absolutely, what scared you? What didn't scare you? What do you think worked? And they read the comments in
And I
the
love
extras.
and I love this because it's something I think we've been missing in our commentary on the podcast over the last many episodes where we've been very critical of the box office and creative storytelling and all of these things. And I'm like, geez, I can't believe that we really didn't delve into that point, which is listen to your audience. Now, Mike,
Right.
it's this is where, again, real brothers, real talk, right? So we're very in sync in a lot of ways. So I want to play a quick clip here.
Make movies that don't work. Very experienced people make movies that don't work.
Steven Spielberg doesn't test his movies. You know, we have to. You know, and I think that we should listen.
We're not making this movie for our parents or for our friends. We're making it for as big an audience as we can get. You're not at the mercy of the audience. That's who you're making all this stuff for, is the audience. So if they don't like it, you have a problem. You have to deal with it because that's what you do.
Now, yeah, that's right from the Blu-ray.
It's from the Blu-ray. This is behind the scenes, one of the featurettes, and Glenn Morgan, who you saw in that, the collaborator with James Wong, and I just found that to be so striking and inspiring. But again, this is 25 years ago, and it just got me thinking: how much is this happening today, Mike? How much is of audience testing is going on?
I don't think a lot. And I think we would know because we would have people contacting us.
Yeah.
And it used to be, I can remember for a long time getting DVD after DVD in the mail saying, hey, review this, review this. Now we can't get DVDs because people bootleg them. So when we do get an advance copy of a film, we always disclose it because we don't want people to think, oh, we're giving this a good review because we got to see it for free. But we usually get a digital code that's good for one shot. You got to watch it. You got to be ready. And once it's over, you don't get to rewind. Right. But that extra in this film is really significant because they point out a lot of story points that were taken out because of the test audience changed this film.
Hey everyone, if you love movies, hit that subscribe button and join us for more amazing episodes on the Oh Brother podcast.
Don't miss out.
And don't forget to leave a comment and share with your friends. Well, and it's interesting. You're right. And what I found really interesting about, because I watched that after I saw the film, and as I was watching the film, there was something here. I want to put this up. Here's a shot of the main cast. So you've got Devon Sawa here. You've got Sean William Scott, who many folks might know as Stifler in the American Pie,
which movies. Was prior to this.
That's right, just prior to this.
Yeah.
Ali Larter, who is in the center there, played a character named Clear. And then you have Chad Donella, who is not in this picture, but plays a character named Todd. Kerr Smith, who you see second from the right. Right. We'll talk about that a little bit here. And
Ali, by the way,
what the audience
is on the far left to me. She's not in the center.
Oh, did I say in the center?
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. That's Kristen. No. Is that Amanda Detmer? Plays Terry in the middle.
Yeah.
Yes,
Amanda.
Yes. Sorry. I had it mixed up. But yeah, there was this weird, thing between Alex, the character played by Devon, and Clear, played by Ali, as you said on the far left here.
Right.
It's like, okay, are they getting together, and it never really plays out? But speak about how that was originally part of the storyline and then it changed.
Yeah, you see a little signs of like affection between the two, but you don't make them out as a couple. But in the deleted scenes, because they show it, you see the two of them, kissing, getting romantically involved. And ultimately it ends with her giving birth to his kid. He winds up getting killed, which doesn't happen in the theatrical movie.
And it's what's funny is in the behind the scenes featurette, they're talking about, we perhaps we went a little too esoteric with this ending, right? And it was like the only way that you can defeat death is with new life.
Right.
Too much. The audience is like, we just want more heads chopped off. That's
I mean, there's a scene, the girl who was in the center, Amanda, gets hit by a bus. Okay. And if you watch that in the theater, people laugh out loud when these crazy, horrible things happen.
Right.
And again, it went from, Clear holding Alex's baby to somebody getting whacked at the very end as one last, jolt.
And there's another thing to talk about. Again, this film's 25 years old as of this taping, and practical effects, Mike.
Yes.
Right. Which they're still doing, like right up to Bloodlines. A lot of the stuff you're seeing is still done through practical effects, which is pretty
Even
amazing.
the water, like there's one kill sequence, and I'll say that because that's what this is.
Listen, it's 25 years ago. If you haven't seen the film by now,
spoiler
and alert.
Where can you get it? HBO Max, correct?
HBO Max, yeah.
Yeah, so
in fact, you can get all of them on HBO Max.
Oh, even the newest one, I think.
I believe so, but don't quote me on
pretty
that.
sure it is.
Yeah.
But there's a sequence where one of the characters, and the whole premise is that when the plane blows up and then, he gets to recount it, Alex, he realizes, and Tony Todd kind of spells it out, death has a plan, right? That's the overall. You're supposed to die at a certain time.
Yes.
And it's kind of like the butterfly effect, if anyone knows what, like if a butterfly flaps its wings in Paris, it will affect something happening in New York.
And this was, again, it's hard to, think of this as being sort of innovative at the time, but this kind of death as a standalone character, as the antagonist in the film, this death by design, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool and new at the time.
Yes. And the way they play it out, this person's next, this person, okay, how do we protect this person? And, you do everything to try to protect yourself. And it reminds me of law school when we had tort law, which is where you get hurt by something. It's the most fascinating stuff to read. A guy, a lawnmower, he, drives it over his foot. And, you're sitting there chuckling.
Yeah, I've done
that. But this isn't funny stuff. But, like how do you, I remember the professor in that class challenged us and said, okay, give me a 100% safe scenario. And people were like, well, I'll wrap myself in bubble wrap, have a cotton helmet. And he would poke holes in everybody's, way to stay safe. And that's kind of what happens with this film is everybody's trying to avoid being the next one. And if it skips them, then it'll reset and they're all safe.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that was pretty cool. Again, it was kind of a new concept at the time. So
and I don't think I've ever seen the X-Files, which is weird.
Neither have I.
Because I'm a sci-fi fan.
Right.
But it came at a time, I think I just was busy in life and, couldn't watch a lot of TV.
Yeah. Oh, was that it for that?
Oh yeah. Sorry. I didn't have more of an anecdote.
So, all right, Mike, talk about this for me, because this is somebody that I admired and loved since I was a kid, but really got a lot of unfair treatment in this film. I felt. Talk about the late great John Denver and the irony and how it is actually referenced in the film here. Talk about
John Denver was superstar. Country singer, had Colorado Rocky Mountain High, was a huge hit.
Just owned the 70s.
I grew up on his music, because dad was a big country guy and he would blast it.
Colorado Rocky Mountain High.
At the peak of his career, he is killed in a plane crash. And it was one of those small crafts.
Well, he was piloting it.
Oh, I didn't remember that.
And it was off the coast of California, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, we've seen Harrison Ford crash a
Right.
plane and walk away. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, John Denver didn't.
Right.
And in this film, they keep using his song, Rocky Mountain High, to kind of
Right.
foreshadow a death.
Uh-huh.
So when his music is being played, you're like, uh-oh, something bad's going to happen.
Exactly. John Denver becomes the foreshadowing of evil
Of death.
and the most peaceful singer-songwriter
Right.
of his time. So it was kind of ironic, but I thought it was it was a cool little trope they used throughout. Mike, we didn't mention at the top, this film was originally uh titled and supposed to be titled Flight
120.
180,
Yeah.
but
And
the makers of the film lost a battle with the studio over that.
they talk about it in the commentary, and I guess the studio was like, well, Air Force One and these other names with numbers in it would confuse people.
Well,
I
they would
don't
just
see
think it was
how.
this kind of, you know, in flight, terrifying type of movie, just kind of mistake it for something that it really wasn't
And you
supposed to be.
throughout the film, and I think this is the filmmakers kind of like
Mhm.
saying F you to the studio, they kept putting in 180s all over the place.
Well, the very ending scene. Do you realize that? So, spoiler alert,
Oh, yeah,
one
yeah,
of the
yeah, yeah.
one of the major changes was this character Carter, they end up killing off because originally he lives,
Right,
but the audience hated him so much
right.
that they redid it and he dies and he gets hit by this hotel sign,
Yes.
and it's something in French and it says 081, but it's 180 backwards. Again, like you said, a
Right.
lot of little
Now,
hidden gems there.
and if you're into Easter eggs, which are things the filmmakers hide in
Yes,
the film,
Easter
this
eggs.
is
Yeah,
loaded, and the commentary
right.
just points everything out. And there's one
Uh-huh.
where Alex is, like laying in bed and he looks at the clock and it's 1 a.m. and it flickers to 180. Do you know they spent 5 days shooting that one sequence?
I didn't know that.
They
That's
couldn't get it
crazy.
right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
This thing we were talking about, death by design. Again, James Wong, really nice shots. This is one here that I like with maybe the
And that's one of
biggest,
the few CGI shots.
yeah, one of the biggest planes I think I've ever seen
Yeah.
in my life. But it just it the image kind of presents the plane in this particular sequence as this really kind of this figure looming over
It,
Alex
it kind of
and
looks
and
like a
and building up the
face.
tension with this whole thing about his anxiety getting on the flight. It looks like a monster of some sort here, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It
Yeah,
literally like gives off like a face,
it does. It's a
you
great
know?
it's a great shot.
And
Here's
then
here's a shot of James Wong with Stifler, Sean William Scott.
he'll always be Stifler.
He'll
I'm
always be
sorry.
Stifler.
He's
Yeah,
done
sorry.
100 films, more than
Yeah.
that, but
Now, Mike,
that's
some of the films of 2000, Mike, do you know what was big in the theater in 2000?
God, I'm sure I will once you tell me.
We were big in 2000 at the box office, Mike. Oh, brother, where art thou? By the
Oh,
Coen
wow.
brothers
The
was out.
Coen brothers.
Now, some of the top grossing films of 2000, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, which of course was the Jim Carrey, uh,
Okay.
live
Ron
action
Howard
version.
directed.
Yeah, Mission Impossible 2, Gladiator, right? Ridley Scott had
Wow.
Gladiator out. X-Men, Mike, was out. And then similar within the genre, you had Scary Movie and What
Right.
Lies Beneath with Michelle Pfeiffer, which was a really cool movie at the
That
time.
just came out on 4K.
Did it really? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, some heavy hitters there. But this, Mike, was a successful film.
It was. Now, like if you look at the money, I don't think it did 100 million.
It did 112 million.
Okay. And the second one dropped, went
Hmm.
back. And I think the second one's actually the better film.
Uh-huh.
But Bloodlines did 300 million. But what they never tell you, and like Superman, we've been hitting that hard.
Mhm.
They're comparing what it makes today versus what Richard Donner's Superman made in 1975. That isn't dollars to dollars. It costs
Right.
$20 to go to a film now.
Right.
So the fact that Bloodlines did 300 million doesn't mean it was a more successful film than the original,
Right.
or that it made more money than the original. I'm sure it cost a lot more money to
Mhm.
make,
Yeah.
but anyway, just wanted
Well,
to point that out.
but on a budget of 23 million, that's
Okay.
pretty good.
Yeah, and I
Uh,
looked at all of the box office, and they all hover around the same,
y yeah. It
same
opened
part.
at about 10 million. Domestically, it did about 53 million. It was almost equally split between the international take and the domestic box office. Now, as always, we talk about the two prominent rating systems that people refer to, and we do on the podcast as well, which is the IMDb Metascore, which was 39 for
Yeah,
this
they hit it
film.
hard.
They hit it hard. Now, Rotten Tomatoes is more where I come in. Now, the critic percentage on Rotten Tomatoes is 49%. The audience 68%. That's about where I'd put it.
Yeah. For me, I think
I
it
maybe
depends on
give it a
the
C. I might round it up to a 70.
yeah, and again, I don't look at it as like a grading system, but it's like who would I tell to watch this? Because I really
Yeah.
like the premise, and I think it holds up today. You like the Bloodlines.
Yes, I agree.
Bloodlines kind of varies a little bit from the original formula. I think they have it. They have it
Mhm,
locked down in the first one, and I think the
mhm.
sequels, although weren't more successful, made a lot more sense because they set it up so good. But yeah, you could easily shoot this. Well, they did. They made Bloodlines, but I think they varied a
Yeah.
little too much from it. I don't like
Well,
that one as much. It's maybe my least favorite.
I think, for some of the things, for some of the reasons we mentioned, which is this idea is death as the antagonist in the film is cool. The use of practical effects, you got to respect. Um, the opening scene, as you said, is pretty iconic and pretty intense with the plane blowing up.
And the
Again,
windows smashing
and the
out.
wind. Yeah, we've seen too much of that, like in real life lately. It seems like so. And the style of it, the tone. I think James Wong's directing here, um, all are to be commended, and I agree. I think it holds up. I mean, again, I hadn't seen it, so this is a first watch for me, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a decent horror film, and it's 25 years old,
Right,
so
right.
I
And the
think for
story holds up.
the story
The
does hold up.
story
Yeah,
definitely holds up.
it really does. So I think this is one I would recommend for horror films. I think it's a good one to kick off this year's Halloween Fest with. But I'm assuming you're in the same camp.
Yeah, no, definitely. And,
Yeah,
right behind me, I think is one of the best horror films of all time. And talk about holding up. It's had what, 15, 16 sequels, and they still haven't been able to top,
talking about
you know,
John Carpenter's
John
original
Carpenter's Halloween.
Halloween, which made on a shoestring budget. I mean,
Right.
we could
Oh,
go back again, go into we've done several episodes on that
yeah.
on the podcast. But yeah, this is it's one I definitely would recommend. I think the death sequences, while they they get a little over the top at times, a little kind of silly, almost comical at times.
Yeah.
There's one sequence I had an image of it, and I don't think I'm not sure that I uh, downloaded it, but there's this one sequence where one of the characters, she was one of the chaperones on the trip,
Mhm.
and
She does a commentary, or part of a
yeah,
commentary.
and death comes for her at one point, and just it's one of those like add insult to injury, like she's already basically met her fate,
Right.
and this she's reaching to grab a towel to stop the bleeding. She's got this gash in her neck, and as she's pulling the towel down, it knocks over a thing of knives, and the knife goes into her chest. it doesn't stop there, right?
No.
The kitchen table falls on her and kind of taps the knife deeper into her chest. Stuff like that was so
Yeah.
ridiculous. But it's funny. It's funny.
And like, did you see where they read the comments?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
they read stuff. People were brutally honest.
Brutal, yeah.
Like, there's a couple of toilet scenes that we don't need, right?
Right.
Where the guys are going in to do their business.
Literal toilet scenes, yes.
Literal toilet scenes. And somebody wrote, no more with the essing, and the bathroom. We don't need that.
Pooping. Yeah.
And I don't know if you picked up on it, if it was the commentary, or if it was that. The girls, they literally had a mirrored image of the two girls sitting on toilets. They were kind of back to back.
I didn't see that.
So they did take out a little bit, but
yeah,
it comes up again right before one of the kills in the shower. And they joke about it on the commentary. So,
well, here you go, Mike. Kicking off HalloweenFest this year with Final Destination, the original, which came out March 17th, 2000. So we're celebrating the 25th anniversary of this film. And also is another one, which was more common back then anyways, 1 hour and 38-minute runtime. So, it's an easy watch. So for horror fans and folks that want to get into some new horror this year, if you haven't seen this film like me, this is a first watch, then I'd recommend you check it out. It's pretty enjoyable.
Yeah, I do too. I have all of them. I've watched them more than once.
Yeah.
I mean, when I watched this time, and I think you're getting into this now too, when you watch with a critical eye, it's so hard to just enjoy something. Just sit back and say, look, I don't have to worry about
exactly
the continuity of the shot.
Right. And that's what's good about this film, right? Just let it go, enjoy the film for what it is. They made it for audiences for popcorn eaters, as we say.
Right. And jump scares and that stuff. And that's what the audience liked.
That's right.
That's right. And again, they have multiple screenings of this.
Listen to the audience. Listen to the audience. For the big studio corporate fat cats. Listen to the audience. That's
you gotta. I mean, I'm shocked Spielberg doesn't. He's such a good filmmaker. I'm shocked he hasn't used screenings.
Yeah. Well, but I guess again, pretty much from the jump, he's
and of course, knowing him, I don't know him personally, but knowing him as an artist, I know he would show his stuff to Lucas and to other filmmakers of his generation.
Right. Sure. Well, there you go, Mike. HalloweenFest is off and running. We've got a lot of good content coming at you, but we start off here with Final Destination, now streaming on HBO Max. You can find the whole franchise out there right now. We'll be back with a lot more of this HalloweenFest. Really looking forward to continuing to dive into the genre. Again, if you're not currently following us, make sure that you do. At Oh Brother Podcast, OH Brother Podcast. That's the YouTube handle if you want to find us there. Like and subscribe. You can also find us on any podcast player that you happen to use, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you digest your audio podcasts. If you prefer to take us with you in the car or at the gym, or if you're taking a crap or something, you want to listen to us.
This is perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect. But appreciate all the support, and we will be back with more this HalloweenFest on the Oh Brother Podcast. Mike, that's going to do it for another episode of the Oh Brother Podcast. I've been your host, Stan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith, and we will see you next time.
And as Tony Todd would say, see you soon.